It's safe to say that most kids, and maybe a couple of adults, have fantasized about being Batman at some point or another. Well, minus the whole losing his parents tragically at a young age, but definitely plus the billionaire part. But we aren't the only ones who have wondered what life is like as the Dark Knight, and there are plenty of DC characters who have turned that fantasy into a reality, at least for a little while. Let's take a look at some of the people who have tried their hand at being Batman over the years. To varying degrees of success, of course. Batman and Superman are two heroes who often find themselves having to collaborate to save the day. They make a great team since Batman has, well, 0 superpowers and Superman has many incredible, mind-blowing superpowers. They're a regular odd couple. But there was a time when the two of them were forced to swap identities, meaning Batman dressed up as Superman and Superman dressed up as Batman. It was kinda weird, but it was for an important save-the-day reason at least. Oh, wait, no, it was because of something straight out of an old sitcom, complete with a laugh track. During Batman Rebirth number 37, Batman and Superman decide to go out on a date, and much to the dismay of a certain segment of the fan population, it's not with each other. Instead, it was a fun double date with our two heroes, Lois Lane and Catwoman. Lois and Selina swap outfits just like the boys do, so they can all enjoy an evening at the Gotham County Fair. Since Bruce Wayne is a billionaire, it's kinda weird that this was the best date idea they could think of. Couldn't they have tried on each other's clothes on a super swanky yacht or something instead? The villain Bane may claim to be way more experienced with darkness, but he still found himself trying to pull off Batman's cave-dwelling aesthetic during the Forever Evil storyline. The members of the Justice League go missing, and since their prized items like Wonder Woman's lasso and Aquaman's trident turn up, everyone fears the worst for our heroes. Needless to say, the villains run amok, including Bane, who tries to rally a bunch of villains behind him, but they're less than impressed with his leadership skills. Good teamwork may not be a superpower, but it's helpful whether you're fighting crimes or committing them. Bane realizes he's just not scary enough, so he decides to dress up like Batman to really put the fear of Gotham into people. He even gets regular citizens to help him out by promising to protect people from the other villains rampaging through the city and offering them sanctuary in Wayne Tower. The plan works pretty well, right up until it doesn't, and Bane gets attacked by a bunch of venom-tainted talons. Eventually, Bane ends up in Arkham Asylum and Bruce Wayne gets back to business. Alfred Pennyworth is known for being Bruce Wayne's faithful butler and serving the Wayne family for many years. After Thomas and Martha Wayne lost their lives, he looked after little Bruce and went on to support his career as a caped crusader. Even though fixing a hero's cape for him doesn't sound very exciting to most of us, Alfred is happy with his way of life for the most part. But there was one occasion when he had to step up and don the mask himself. The character Gotham, not to be confused with the city of Gotham, has powers, but the more they're used, the shorter his life gets. Is that worse than not having powers at all? We'll let you talk about that in the comments. Anyway, Batman and Gotham start out working together in the Rebirth series until Gotham snaps and turns against him. In the 5th issue, Gotham calls Batman out, but the Dark Knight needs time to figure out a plan. To keep friend-turned-foe calm, Alfred poses as Batman and even gets to drive the Batmobile. Thankfully, the real Batman is able to take over before Alfred actually engages in combat. He's a butler, not a fighter. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is just starting to explore the multiverse, alternate realities, and all that fun, confusing stuff that's long been a staple in the comic books. In DC's Flashpoint series, there's an alternate reality version of Batman, which isn't super surprising. The strange part is that instead of Bruce, it's actually his father, Thomas Wayne. In this reality, Bruce was the one that lost his life, which inspired his father to become a crime-fighting vigilante. Eventually, Barry Allen shows up and tells Thomas that the timeline got mucked up and it's his son Bruce that was supposed to survive and become the Dark Knight. Thomas is willing to sacrifice his own life and risk changing history by creating a device designed to recreate the accident that gave Barry his speed-based powers. Another well-known comic book trope is someone having a long-lost sibling or child that seemingly comes out of nowhere. And yes, this happened to Batman thanks to a comic from 1987 called Batman, Son of the Demon. League of Assassins member Talia al Ghul falls for Batman and, unbeknownst to our hero, gives birth to his son and surrenders the child to an orphanage. Later, in 2006, Damian Wayne shows up, and he's not as shy about dishing out physical punishments as his father is. He becomes the new Robin, and he's even more grim and dire than Bruce Wayne. There have been quite a few different people to take on the role of Batman over the years, but let's not forget that our man Bruce has gone through a lot of Robins. Seriously, their survival rate is pretty dismal. Jason Todd was an orphan with a sad backstory who stole the wheels off the Batmobile. Of course, it turned out that the person he thought was his mother wasn't, and his real mother was still alive, but that's a whole thing that we won't get into right now. Instead of throwing the book at Jason, Batman took him in as the new Robin when he was 12 years old, which probably violates some child labor laws. For some reason, losing his parents, becoming a criminal, and then training as a hero before he was even a teenager resulted in Jason growing up as an aggressive guy. Let's just say that things don't get any better after he gets blown up and revived in a Lazarus pit. During the Battle for the Cowl series, it seems like Batman is gone, so Jason puts on his own version of the Batsuit and gets to work fighting crime, albeit more brutally than the original Batman would have. In case people didn't get the hint that he was the new Batman, he was considerate enough to leave notes reading, "I am Batman." Like most of Batman's adopted family, Dick Grayson also had a sad backstory involving watching his parents lose their lives when they fell from a high wire while performing at a circus. When Bruce Wayne disappeared during Battle for the Cowl, things got predictably chaotic in Gotham. Nightwing was still on duty and ended up saving Damian Wayne and being confronted by Jason Todd as Batman. Dick decided that he deserved to be Batman way more than Jason, so he dressed up as Batman and went to fight Jason, who was also dressed up as Batman. Whole lot of bat fighting going on. But ultimately, Dick won the battle, becoming Batman and taking on Damian as his Robin. Terry McGinnis is someone who took over as Batman completely when Bruce was too old to get the job done and decided to retire. Terry was created for the animated series Batman Beyond, and for a long time he didn't cross over at all with the main DC universe. But eventually, Earth-12 was revealed to be an alternate universe with a version of Terry and some other characters from Batman Beyond. Not only does Terry get to become the new Batman, but he gets an all-new fancy suit, cool gear, and all of the wisdom and experience from Bruce Wayne himself. Not that he always listens. He learns about Bruce's secret identity through a serendipitous incident, and eventually Bruce decides that Terry reminds him enough of himself to continue his work. But of course, that means there's no shortage of power struggles and butting heads between the two of them that makes for entertaining television. Scientists messed with John Paul Valley's DNA, giving him powers beyond those of the average human. His father, Azrael, lost his life in front of him, but not before he could hand over his costume and a fat stack of money. John Paul took on the role of Azrael, which wasn't that difficult thanks to his aforementioned superpowers. He meets up with Batman, who is a good influence on him, teaching him the value of human life and encouraging him to use more humane ways of fighting. Batman accepted him into his little vigilante family, but Azrael wasn't one to play by the rules. During Batman Nightfall, he went out as Batman in order to defeat Killer Croc, which didn't work at all. Way to make Batman look bad. Here's an imitation Batman that wasn't lovingly adopted into the Bat family, Hugo Strange. He's a smart guy and actually managed to figure out Batman's secret identity. But since he also happens to be totally insane, he made it his mission to bring down the Dark Knight. He uses his Bat knowledge to get a job as a police consultant and puts together a task force to bring down Batman once and for all. But in order to hunt Batman, you have to think like Batman, and apparently dress like him too. To better understand his enemy, Hugo starts dressing up as Batman and talking to a mannequin about how jealous he is of Batman. You know, all totally normal stuff we do in the privacy of our own homes, right? But at least there was some kind of method to his substantial madness, because he did figure out who Batman really is. Not that it helped him in the end, since he went nuts, captured the mayor's daughter, and ended up dumped in a river. It's understandable when heroes have to fill in for the Dark Knight, but there's just something special about watching an obsessed lunatic pretending to be Batman talking to a mannequin about it. Did I say special? I meant insane. Which one of these faux Batmans was your favorite, or is it one that we didn't include in this video? Share your pick with us in the comment section below, and then click subscribe for more videos from CBR. Bye for now.